Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So as you can tell by the title, we will be talking, yes, you read that right, a potential winter storm. Now obviously that's not going to be the main risk with this, though that definitely is like probably the most interesting part, as it's almost, mid-May. I mean, it is mid-May, and we have a winter storm, but there's going to be also severe weather, heavy rain, quite a bit of cold air, and obviously a little bit of warm and hot air. So there's a lot of things I kind of want to go over, but I am recording this a little bit later than I would like. I spent a lot of the day in the garden, and it took a lot longer than I thought, so I want to make this relatively quick. Okay, so first off, let me just show you, actually let me just start off by showing you the radar and any warnings or advisories that are issued and whatnot. So notice we do have several areas of concern in terms of, I guess, weather, not necessarily danger, just again storms. You can see some across Kentucky. We have a large area of light to moderate at times, maybe a bit heavier rainfall across Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and as it moves towards the northern kind of mid-Atlantic and into portions of the northeast area. Notice you did have also a little system across the northern United States that did drop a pretty nasty line of storms just north of Minneapolis, although there were some more isolated, I assume non-severe storms, but definitely if you got under one of these, there was probably heavy rain and, a brief hail and lightning threat, as with all storms. So that also has kind of petered out. Notice there's still a few storms along there that are significant, but where we really are looking at concerning now is this cluster of storms right there, moving out of Colorado, moving into Kansas and the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. Again, that these storms are severe, and in fact, if I were to turn on like the severe weather watches and warnings, you could see that there's a watch. Mainly the threat is hail. You can see this particular one has weakened below limit. This one probably hasn't, and yeah, you can see $half sized hail. That's again the main danger. But do note that we do also have a little bit of a area of severe thunderstorms across Kentucky, as I mentioned, and we do actually have one that's tornado warned. But again, the winter side of the system is right here, and this isn't, across some mountainous areas that are super isolated. I mean, it is across the mountains, right? Don't get me wrong. But look at that. See that? Denver into portions of, let's say, Parker right there. That's not really considered to be mountains. It's definitely on the steps of the mountains, right? And it's slightly elevated nonetheless. But, yeah, definitely look at those amounts, 4 to 10 inches. Those are rather insane. And, even if you go as far out east as you do over here, again, pretty far from the mountains, 4 to 10 inches. So a lot of snow potentially for Denver. I'm not sure, but I have to say that I don't think this is a pretty usual thing across Denver. I know that, they have crazy weather, but 4 to 10 inches across, mid-May, I don't know if that has happened in a while, if at all, but I'm assuming, knowing the weather, it's happened before. Notice we do also have a winter storm warning across areas like Great Falls, which amounts could be quite a bit higher as well, and the further north you go, they could be significant. So, sorry about that. That's why I think it's pretty well warranted to call this a winter storm. Notice today we have several areas of severe weather, or really, I mean, I'm recording this in afternoon, so this one pretty much is already over with, right? The one across Minneapolis or Minnesota, just north of Minneapolis, you notice that those storms have passed that area right there. They're already into Wisconsin. The one across Kentucky is pretty much occurring right now. We do have again that tornado warned storm. By the time I upload this will probably be already pretty much done. But notice that we do have a little bit of storm activity. That definitely is something we'll have to watch for, and this is the one that's just really starting to get going and will be producing some nasty storms. Again, for these areas, the tornado threat is the highest across Kentucky, and really the biggest threat for the southwest is, or the southwest area is the wind and hail relative to the other areas, the southwest one. That's why I'm calling it southwest. Not that it's actually the southwest United States, because it's kind of, not really. Notice Friday, so, did I just skip Thursday? I did. So this is tomorrow. Notice that it's across similar areas, though again it's a lot more extended across the south. You can see a pretty large area and it enhanced. So again, that's pretty high, 3 out of 5, including some pretty large areas and no major metros. You can see it's just south of Minneapolis, though the slight risk includes Minneapolis, St. Paul, and as well as big cities across the south, just south of Louisville, not Louisville, sorry, St. Louis. and it does stretch all the way into North Carolina and northern South Carolina. And then on Friday, we have this threat, which, as you can see, pretty large area. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an enhanced issued for at least a certain portion of this by the time we get closer towards it. Again, this is the weather map. You can see a lot of red flag warnings. That's that bright pink, and that is basically alerting people of a pretty high fire danger. I'm assuming it's because it's hot, it's windy, it's dry relatively, and that's why, you know, that's possible. And they're also warning about some severe weather threats, which I'm assuming has already pretty much occurred or is gonna be. Okay, you can see right there, there's a little cell that's starting to pop up. There might be a few more, but it doesn't seem like much of that threat has really materialized. Now, let me start showing you the models. So, this is the European one. I really like this one. And let's just see. So again, that's today's system across Minneapolis. The north, it moves away. The one across the south skedaddles out of here. Notice the one across kind of the south, south central U.S. tonight could bring storms as far south as Arkansas, Missouri, or as far east before it produces that severe weather area across the south tomorrow. And notice that is again why we have that slight issued for Thursday across this kind of relatively long area. That's because you can see these storms getting fired up. But by the time it's late Thursday, that threat is pretty much essentially gone, and we quickly switch our attention towards this storm. And again, that's our winter storm. A lot of cold air with it across, you know, even areas that don't see snow, just, you know, large cities, Seattle, Oregon, it will be cooler. And notice that's where our enhanced is. Right on the nose of this system, we have, again, thunderstorms erupt. Again, those will be severe, potentially large hail, especially hail is the highest one tomorrow. Wind and tornadoes are obviously also a threat, just a bit lower. And notice that this thing does produce a bit of snow for southern Canada, especially Manitoba and Alberta. But again, for that Denver area, that mountain snow, notice that by early Friday, late Thursday, it's still not occurring, but throughout the day on Friday, it spreads and occurs a lot of storms there. Or not storms, sorry, a lot of snow, and you can see that actually intensifies into the overnight hours, into Saturday, and then it finally, you know, blows off, if you will, on early Sunday. And some of these snowfall accumulations will be pretty significant. Let me just show you that. And let's just take it through hour 100 right there. Notice that's why they're calling up to 4 to 10 inches. And this model shows even more, right, the European. Hopefully it's not that much, because that would be a little bit too much. And you know, the thing is, though, that this could happen because this will have a lot of moisture. It will be extremely powerful. It is, you know, the snowfall rates will be very quick. So even if it's warm, you know, troubles accumulating and whatnot, those arguments always used. I think a lot of that snow will be falling so heavily, it will pretty much just overcome any barriers. Notice that, by the way, with that severe weather threat tomorrow, first there's these individual storms moving kind of to the north along that warm front, but then that cold front kind of sweeps in, and that could definitely knock, I guess, a second wave across very similar areas. So that could extend into Wisconsin, maybe even to northern Illinois. But for that Friday threat, it's mainly further south and east, and that's that cold front of that system. Notice this is Friday at noon, so really nothing major going on in terms of the severe weather. But then a few hours later, boom, we have these little discrete cells along with some squall lines popping up. Definitely a nasty, you know, obviously storm threat, lightning, thunder, and potentially a torrential downpour as well associated with these storms. And notice that this front isn't really progressive. It kind of sits around for a while. You can see affecting similar areas throughout the night going into Saturday. Again, potentially reforming across areas back towards the north, and then kind of pushing out altogether on Saturday and into Sunday across the Midwest. And then eventually into the east, the southeast, which again, there could be individual severe weather threats with those areas issued as well. It's just a little bit too far out to say if that will, you know, occur with enough vigor to produce a severe weather threat. But notice that even after that occurs, Monday, Tuesday, right, we have a very active weather pattern, especially across the south. A lot of storm threats, a lot of severe weather potentially. But even further north, you can see a kind of a decent rain event there, decent storm. Again, a pretty strong cold front with that, so maybe some severe weather for the northeast. And then notice that even after that, we do have a continued threat of storms and weather, and we have another one moving in across the northwest. So that is that from the severe weather side. from this storm. Again, you can see that it's mainly, today, but really today's threat isn't associated directly with that system. It's tomorrow that it really begins. You can see right there that nasty area of enhanced, especially across southern Minnesota. Though again, keep in mind the southeast could also be seeing a little bit of severe weather. And then Friday, you can see a very large area under the slights. So, that's not terribly too high, but it's large cities. Milwaukee, Chicago, St. Louis. Those are very, three very big cities. One of the bigger ones, if not the biggest one, in the Midwest. And on Saturday, there is no area. On Sunday, there isn't either, but, the Northeast, kind of Mid-Atlantic, watch out, because there could be definitely an area that could be issued. Even if there isn't, there's going to be some storms that occur as the system kind of progresses towards the east. And let me show you another model, the GFS, as that was just one model. Notice there's our system tomorrow. I mean, it already made landfall today. As I'm recording this video, it's already on the shore. And notice, again, there it is, spitting some rain, spitting some snow, a lot of cold air. There it is tomorrow across Minneapolis, producing those I keep saying Minneapolis, but Minnesota producing those nasty storms. The GFS doesn't really show that. It just shows kind of like rain, if you will. Nothing really heavy, but those will be some nasty storms. And notice a little bit of snow, again, potentially even into Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, but the main area of snow for the west and say, cities like Great Falls and Denver is into Friday, into overnight, into Saturday. Notice, again, there's that nasty cold front that the European develops. The GFS a bit weaker, though, definitely still there. And look at that. That's a very large area the GFS shows in terms of snow. It's actually quite a bit bigger than what the European showed. If you recall, the European did show, snow here, but it did not extend all the way into the panhandle of Nebraska and, well out into the plains of eastern Colorado. But yes, this one does, and you could see it takes this, and definitely these would be, storms, nasty systems. The GFS shows this almost like as a light rain event, but there's enough, vigor on that, and it's May, so it isn't like a winter storm where it's just light rain. This will definitely be pretty explosive, and you can see that snow still occurring well into potentially Saturday during the day. And then, like the European showed, this system finally kind of moves out of here on Sunday and Monday with a lot of cool air behind it spilling over. And, that cool air is what allowed that snow to fall across cities like Denver, right? I mean, the anomaly in terms of cold weather for these areas is obviously incredible, in order to see that snowfall actually occur. And obviously, the total accumulated snowfall from the GFS is as impressive, if not even more, than what the European shows, as it kind of extends it pretty far away from the mountains itself. And that is the European, or GFS, that I wanted to show you. It's probably the second best model, and it too shows a very active period in the long term. You're right. A lot of potentials for severe weather, rain. Look at that. This is far out, but it just goes to show you that the pattern will not be getting anywhere, I guess, more quiet, and it's affecting a large area of the United States, this active pattern, if you will. And total accumulated precip through the next 10 days, you can see it's a pretty decent chunk of the U.S. that's under active weather. And the Canadian, I didn't show you this model. This one, I like it pretty much. I like it a lot as well, but I'm just going to show you regardless. There's our system tomorrow. Notice, well, yeah, this is into Thursday, into Friday. Canadian, what it does show is the severe storms just further south than what the GFS and European show. Again, I don't think it will be this far south into southern Wisconsin, the bulk of it. There could be definitely some activity, just I think the worst of it tomorrow. Those explosive storms will be across Minnesota. And do note, again, there's our little snow side of this. And don't be surprised if you do see some snow across North Dakota and portions of southern Canada that, may accumulate a few inches. Notice, just like the European, the Canadian does develop that nasty cold front. Again, this may not look too impressive, but the fact that it's a global model, and it shows, it doesn't have high precision for these types of kind of thunderstorm outbreaks, but you can see those yellow colors, and again, very slow moving. I mean, it's really not moving at all. It's a stationary cold front, and the Canadian finally takes it out of here on Sunday, so there could be a lot of rain for these areas stuck under that cold front. And you can see later on, again, more activity. Definitely nothing really too quiet behind that. In terms of total snowfall, let's take a glance at this. You can see pretty significant accumulations. And in terms of total rainfall, also quite a bit, especially across those areas where that cold front potentially stalls out. Here, I could show you, the NAM 12KM. This is a shorter range model. It goes out to 84 hours, a bit more high precision. So let's see. Again, this is kind of the overnight. This is tomorrow. Again, we have to watch for that, right? 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Right around that time frame, we could see those storms erupting across, Minnesota, into Wisconsin. Again, eventually developing a cold front, which kind of doesn't really show much until it's, you know, the late Friday, and then it kind of expands and blows up and produces quite a bit of potential severe weather. Even more high-res models, FV3, but this one only goes out to 60 hours. So you're basically, it shows, you know, very similar things. Shows those two events occurring today and into tomorrow. You can see again that's a southeast threat. You can see pretty nasty clusters right there. Again, look at those cells. Those are pretty big and pretty scary that the FE3 advertises, though this one does kind of overproduce a lot of storms often. But notice that it almost shows this kind of in 2 rounds, so that's something worth noting. And then it takes us into Friday, which is when that snow really starts picking up, and when we see that cold front starting to develop across Illinois, you know, Iowa, Missouri, Michigan, and into portions of Oklahoma and even southern Canada. That's basically it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next episode. See ya. Bye.